They had a chance to score at least. They got hit right to the second employee for overflow. Right here. Count 3.
It is.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Sarah Baucus.
Here.
Carrie Gordon.
Here.
Kenny Marletta. Here. Brandon Marford. There. Dave Moore. Here.
Approval agenda.
So moved.
Second on favor.
Aye.
Community forum.
Good evening, everyone. First, I just want to take a moment to recognize a couple of students who earned the seal by literacy this year in English and Spanish. And those two students are Robert Vasquez and David Urquiza. Okay, come on. I'm gonna take a picture really quick. Okay, guys. Here, can you stand right now? Take a picture. You have your pictures up. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brandon.
Is a seal.
Anybody else? Approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approval of bills. Questions on those?
Yeah.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Financial report, $4,750,182.43.
Motion to approve financial report.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, first up is Steve.
Just a few things here. We're gonna have a meeting next week to finalize the Carl Perkins budget for 2025. We have a preliminary budget that was approved by the state. We had to make a few changes, but we will finalize it next week. I'm gonna meet with Mr. Johnson tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning to talk about transitioning him into the position for next year. So we're gonna be at 10. ELA position, we have a candidate that I offered a job to, and she's waiting to get her license renewed. So once that comes through, hopefully we can take care of that, have that one hired. And then the last thing on the list is on Monday at 10 a.m. we're going to interview a person for the strength and conditioning position. Hopefully that works out. We can find somebody there. That's it.
Any questions?
Last one.
This is the
That
last
was
one.
recognized as his last report.
And thank you's not enough, so I want to give him a standing ovation. Thank you. I remember every moment when I was in school.
And you were the unkind ones?
Nope, it really wasn't. I'm dead serious. I remember everything good. So thank you for everything. For everybody.
Thank you.
Any questions? Mike?
All right, my report is in front of you. The vast majority of it is legislative summary stuff. And I've talked about this stuff before, but it never hurts to just keep it in our minds. First thing is the AEA situation. The AEA held Zoom sessions this week with area districts. Nathan Wood went over the fee-for-service model. We're now going to meet with Jamie Cranston, who is our regional director, and we're going to go over our wish list of services. We're going to talk about what those services would cost, how they fit into our budget, and actually starting to nail some things down. Nathan has repeatedly said he views it as GPAEA's mission to make sure that schools still get what they need, even under this new model. So I'm confident that we're going to make it the best that we can under this system. So that's where we are with that. The governor finished signing legislation recently. The chronic absenteeism, which is going to be a part of our new state report card designation. There are some specific designations in there. The big thing I want to draw attention to there is that it recognizes the fact that kids can be gone because of illness, and it doesn't penalize anybody for that. Original language said it didn't matter why you were gone. If you were gone, it was a black mark.
So the illness means they have doctor's excuse.
Yep.
According to our policies, right?
Yep. So if someone is gone for a legitimate medical reason, the school is not penalized for absenteeism. IPERs and retirees, good news. Retirees who take IPERs no longer have to sit out for 4 months, which is what it used to be. They only have to sit out for 1 month, which will make it easier for those people who want to come back and work. But there's a wrinkle with this. Under the new salary minimums, your retired teachers are more than likely going to qualify for the $60,000 minimum, but they can only earn $50,000 in IPERs. So somewhere the numbers don't quite match up. I suspect they will do some fixing of that in this legislative session. Open enrollment deadlines are coming back as of July 1st. The governor did veto those increased penalties for violations about the open meetings law, not because she doesn't think it's important, but because she thought that the legislation was too vague. She wants the legislators to visit that again next session, so I'm sure we'll see something. Amanda, I'm going to brag you up a little bit here. Amanda told me that we are serving, is this right, 306?
We serve 285 Tuesday.
Okay, where did I get 306?
That's what originally had signed up.
Okay.
There were some that were on vacation, didn't make it. I had a lot of people come today and get meals.
Okay.
That just didn't work in their day to do it on Tuesday, so.
Okay, so we are serving upwards of 300 kids summer lunch. That is significantly more than at the height of COVID. And I didn't think we would surpass those
We
numbers.
were 237 at COVID.
And we have multiple communities who are being served. Some of them don't offer summer lunch, and that's fine. Kids don't have to come to Wapello in order to take advantage of the program. And Amanda, I'm going to say in front of all these witnesses now, if you need help, all you have to do is ask. Okay? There's not a person here who will not help you if you ask.
I heard Brandon.
Brandon doesn't have. All right, is there anything you want to add about that, Amanda?
No, I'm just happy that we're able to help as many kids as we are, because it's phenomenal. And the thanks that the parents and even some of the kids came in and gave me hugs, thanked me, and so it just proves that they like our school lunches.
There you go.
How many do you think are coming out of the district? How many kids approximately?
I know I have 9 families from Minneapolis, and I think 5 families from L&M. And then I'm not really sure about Morning Sun. There were some Morning Sun, but I'm not really sure on the count of those. It was kind of everybody at once, so I couldn't.
Right.
I'll eventually learn who's for Morning Sun, and I'll be able to tell you that. But
How long does this run for?
clear through June.
Through June?
Through July, I mean.
I said it speaks to how high the cost of groceries is. I mean,
Oh,
like,
that's
we
terrible.
never thought that we would surpass the number, but it is really helping families significantly, so.
It's awesome. So thank you, Amanda. Okay. And if you flip over, I have some numbers that I want to share with you. These are the latest results from our conditions of learning survey. They are hot off the presses, and we haven't even looked at them as a district. Okay, and if I'm stealing your thunder, Shannon, then
No,
check.
you're not.
All right, good enough.
Go for it.
The conditions of learning survey, we give it to students in grades 3 through 12. Our scores are broken out by elementary, middle school, and high school. There are 5 main subject areas that are listed over on the left: student-student relationships, boundaries and expectations, physical safety, adult-student relationships, and emotional safety. The first column is our latest results from our most recent administration. Okay? The middle column compares with the rest of our AEA. You'll see with some, we are above the average for our AEA in kids who had a positive response. In some, we are below. What I think is the best news is that far right column, compared to when we gave the survey last year, the vast majority of those areas, we have made improvements. We have a higher percentage of students who feel positively about all of those areas compared to when we administered it last year. And that's the kind of direction that we want to see. Now, we can dig into specific questions to evaluate answers, and we will have groups who will do that. But for our purposes here, I wanted to give you like a high-level view of what our results are. I'd like to see some areas higher, of course, but I'm glad to see things are trending up. That's what we want. Okay, that's all I have.
It's just interesting for me, the student-to-student relationships in the elementary is so much, it's lower than the high school. And I would like expect a difference, or the opposite, but it's not.
So in the elementary, what grade, is there a cutoff on this survey?
3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5, okay.
Yep.
So that's a lot for a third and fourth grader really to absorb. I mean, how much are they really understanding? I don't know how well it's explained to them, or whatever, you know, the emotional,
There's always that.
yeah.
I think it's nice, I mean, look at the growth in the physical safety.
Yeah,
area.
there's data,
It's probably pretty simple. Do you feel
it's a
safe?
pretty easy,
Yep.
pretty easy one to decipher.
16 plus.
Yep. 16, 11, and 8. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of factors in there, but let's give credit where credit is due. Cody's a very visible presence, and I'm sure that is a big part of it. So,
So the open enrollment deadline, that's just, these people pull papers out, not necessarily committing to another school.
right, it opens the door, but it doesn't close the door for them to still come here.
Do you know what our student count was to end the year? By chance? It's, you don't have to look right now if you don't want, I just, curiosity.
I'll pull that one, I'll send it to you.
So we really won't know the full effect of the open enrollment stuff until
October.
October when we do
It was
certified.
5/24 in May.
5/24.
Is that what it was? All right, thanks.
Anything else? Shannon?
I don't have a whole lot tonight, sorry I didn't get you my report, we've been in the barn a lot. Excuse me. And I've been working on curriculum orders for next year, talking to vendors and making sure that we've got the right numbers. And once July 1st rolls around, I'll get those submitted and sent in, and we'll have all our stuff to start the school year. Kelsey and I had a Zoom today with Character Strong. We're gonna do a little reboot of that for the beginning of the school year for teachers. Teachers will get their own personal logins this year instead of a generic district-wide. So then we will be able to kind of do a little bit more digging into the data about usage and whatnot, and kind of check some fidelity as the curriculum is used. What else? We worked on the back-to-school schedule. We've been trying to get stuff penciled down with that. We'll finalize when Tony jumps on board too to see what he has to add to the back-to-school schedule and go with that. So we're going to talk a little bit later about the health leadership team, so I'll save that for then.
Alright, most of my report is handbook changes that I can go over an hour, we can go over one minute to do those, but otherwise the end of the school year came and went. It's been a good year, but going into every summer, I guess for me it's kind of that time to reflect on what changes need to happen, what things went well to keep going, and how we're going to get into next school year. So summer cleaning has started at the high school with taking rooms down and putting it back together, and then we'll come to the elementary. Some things going on in the building right now with school lunches, and that's been the biggest thing. And then the Soccer for Success program is using our facilities right now, and they're off and running as well. So the building's open if anybody needs things, if there's been some leftover lunch boxes and coats and all kinds of things, instruments. So if anybody has things they're missing, parents, families, they can stop over. The building's open normal school hours, so we're there.
Do we know how many kids are doing soccer for Success?
That's probably at least 30. I don't have the exact number, but there's a bunch.
Good.
I'm gonna be real short. I didn't have a lot. Summer, obviously, baseball, softball are going on. Have another game tonight. Outside of rescheduling games and finding umpires, that's about all that I got in my world right now. Next month, I will have my student handbooks to use for athletes and kids and activities. There'll be a couple of changes in there. One of those changes, the state changed the ineligibility rule from 30 days to 20. So that'll be a change that you see in your handbook. And then I got the sponsors and coaches handbook will come to you as well. And there's one or two minor changes in that. So that'll be in the next board packet for you to see. And Moorfelt has been notified to come put the key card readers on the doors finally. So that project should start moving here shortly. So that's all I got.
Have you been in contact with Blaine or anything? He says the project's still going along good, or
so we've had our last two meetings were canceled or moved.
Right.
We're supposed to meet this Friday.
Yep.
The project looks good, everything's moving along as scheduled. We've had some delays here and there with the weather on the outside work, but
the bricklayers are running behind.
yeah, they were waiting on the proper bricks because one of the colors of the mix of brick that they needed wasn't in the kiln until last week or something, so it was delayed. But outside of that, I mean, everything on the inside work, they've been working inside, and I haven't went down to look, but I know they're doing a lot of rough-ins now for like the trophy case and that kind of stuff. So we do have a walkthrough on Friday, I believe it is, so we'll get another look at it.
The summer will go quick, and next thing you know.
I think he was projected to be done at the end of July, so.
Yeah, what was the original? The original date was like August 1st?
July 31st.
July 3rd, yeah, and
He's still on schedule,
yeah.
Thinking.
As far as we know,
Right.
once the brick goes up and the windows go in, and
Yep.
I think then you'll see it start to get buttoned up.
I think that the one delay was waiting for the roof to get done so they could start painting on the inside. So, but yeah, I mean everything's been progressing. Pretty, it's like one day you look at like, man, is anything doing anything? Are they doing anything? And then 2 days later you look and you're like, oh, where'd that come from? So good. Questions? It's huge.
Personnel, hires,
You're not just wrestling and prom sponsor? Brandon, anything about either one of these?
Nope, I don't have anything unless you have questions.
Do we know how many girls are in this?
So I did a count at the end of the season of who was already out and who said that they were probably going out, and it was more than 6.
I just didn't know
I
if there
can't-
was an increase, like.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll be maybe 2 on when it happens. That's the problem is, like, I do a count at the end, like, who's going out again, who's interested, and I got a number, it's either 6 or 7.
I just didn't know with girls wrestling, if
Well,
there
it
were
sounded-
more.
We're gonna lose a couple seniors for the high school even. It sounded like there was like 4 more girls interested in going out, so cross our fingers because that'd be an increase, so let's hope that that's the case. I don't think you can get a solid number on girls wrestling for probably 3 or 4 years before you know for sure. Because you're gonna have a lot who are gonna try it and then be done, and a lot who are gonna wait till the last minute, their junior, senior year and go, oh, let me try it, so.
So moved. Through, trying both.
Sure.
Katie Sparrow and Nate Hosh.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resignations, Amy Ludo, Carol.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business, consideration, approved list of fundraisers.
I think we got 4. You got the FFA doing their fan t-shirts at the Summer Rodeo. Girls basketball is gonna do summer camp. volleyball doing a summer camp, and then they're gonna do their orders, pizza, and power bar and cinnamon rolls.
Make a motion to approve fundraisers.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consideration to approve board policies.
Alright, these are part of our regular policy rotation. The language is up to date according to IASB. They all have to deal with transportation, so I gave Darren a heads up and said, just so you know, we're gonna be talking about your stuff, so. You know, I don't have any recommended changes, but Darren and I can answer any questions you might have.
What's the idling? District idling.
That you're not supposed to idle near the school building for air quality purposes, so that it doesn't get sucked in through the air system.
Make a motion to approve the board policies 711.1 through 711.10.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Consideration of board no bid 1415.
All right, Amanda has secured a couple bids, one from Anderson Erickson and one from Prairie Farms. We've included both of them, and Amanda would recommend that we go with Anderson Erickson.
I'll make a motion to approve the no award the month bid to Anderson Erickson.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Leadership team presentation, health leadership.
I didn't do it, I didn't do it. Look at people. Don't need to, just stand where you're at. I just do it. I did the ball first for the while.
I even got hit.
By my kid.
Oh, you really?
2 rib cases from him.
He's like, what did I do? I said, I think she wants you to pay her mom one. So I just sent me a text. They went to Nico for Peyton's game. Ken's got called up to play. It must have been short players. Okay. Okay. Kelsey, Ashley, and I are here to present on what the health leadership team has been working on for the last 2 years. There are some other people in the room who are also on this health leadership team, and they're invited to chime in whenever. Mike, Brandon, Brett, and Steve. So, we have been in partnership with UNI and Great Prairie, AEA, and that allowed us to be able to pay for mental health providers who serve our students and consult with Dr. Nicole Scar from the University of Northern Iowa to help build capacity to address the mental health needs of our students in our schools. We are just in completion of year 2 of a 3-year grant. So we have 1 more year working with Nikki on this partnership.
So we operate under a multi-tier system support, and that's kind of the system we use. So at the bottom is tier 1. Everybody gets that core instruction. So that's our character strong, purposeful people, PBIS, that's what that all sits. Then in tier 2, you have more targeted intervention. So that's where we have check in, check out. Like Lynn used to do it at the elementary, I do it at the high school. Our IEP teachers do it, Ashley does it, but it's more of like a more frequent check-in with that kid, most often. Then we have tier 3, which is very intensive, which they'll be with Ashley or social worker, or we will have them see an outside provider to get that like very intense therapy.
In order to determine which tier a student's going to fall into, we do universal screening, and that is through SABRS. SABRS is a mental health screener that's given 3 times per year. It's used along with other school data, teacher referrals, conversations, attendance, grades, to kind of determine the students who need some services or some support. It helps us determine if our systems, the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 systems we have in place are working efficiently. There's 2 sides to the SABRS. The SABRS part is the teacher rating, and the teacher gives that for all students in grades K through 12. We have the homeroom teacher, so at the elementary, the classroom teacher rates their students. At the middle school and high school, their AAT teacher is responsible for their students. And they rate them based on the questions that are given. The second side of that is the My Savers, and that's given to students in grades 2 through 12. And in order for a student to take My Savers, we have to have parental consent. So some of the data that we get,
Especially this year.
especially this year, because this is the first year for that, the past, how many done, 2 years?
Yeah.
We could give it regardless, but this year we had to have parental consent to do so. So some of our numbers are lower. So that kind of, I don't want to say it skews the data, but it
doesn't give a full picture of what's
yeah, it
going
doesn't
on.
give us a full picture of what's going on. But again, this isn't the only screening data that we use. We also use the teacher recommendations, the academics, the attendance, and so on.
So the next couple of slides you have is how kids are moving. So when they take Savers, they are put into 3 different categories: high risk, some risk, or low risk. When we have kids, we take it again, we rearrange the kids based on progress, if they've made any at all. But what we want, look at is how many kids move from whatever they're in to where they're going to go down or go up. And that's a pretty strategic decision-making process that we use to make that determination. And some of it's based on their own filling out the survey, and some of it's based on what we see and how if Ashley's, if they're a high risk and Ashley's seeing them, she can make the determination to go up or down. So that's kind of how the year progressed. And again, the amount of kids that take it, that's what we know.
The elementary was based on the teacher ratings.
Yeah. So that's the elementary one. So you kind of see that kids, our high risk kids, went down in the fall to the winter, but we had more kids go up. So you always want to be putting kids down and pulling kids up. You don't want a high risk kid all year long. That's the goal.
The middle school and the high school numbers were based on the student ratings. So you can see that the total number went down from the elementary number. And then the high school?
Yeah. So just to kind of also clarify, this says the winter and the spring says 0 kids were high risk. That's just based on the data. We had kids who were high risk. They just didn't flag it in the system. So just keep that in the back of your minds.
So this one here shows kind of the decision-making tree, if you will. We have the star at the top for the Savers, because that's kind of where we start as far as where we place those kids, and then we just, meeting as a team once a month, we're able to go through our data, whether there's parent referrals, teacher referrals, any staff. They're very open about, if they see a student who they think is struggling or has a change. And then you can kind of see, are they on an IEP? So we just kind of, as a team, then decide that level of support for the student.
So as we meet monthly as a health leadership team, this is the process, the steps that we go through as we're looking at the data to determine which kids need support.
So
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Before we get too far in the slides. You said there were kids that were high
Yes.
risk but didn't hit on the.
So when they take the Savers, let's say we offered the Savers January, end of January-ish. So they may not have been high risk at that moment, but something happened that following week and they became high risk.
So that's what you guys monitor with that.
We try to just
tree
see.
system and.
Yes.
Yeah, we try to catch them
information
before it
and-
escalates, but then it doesn't always do that.
Okay.
Okay, so in the 2 years we've done this, we've had 71 students. K-12, we provide with Tier 3 mental health services. We've learned to be more productive and proactive rather than reactive. So when most schools are reactive, something happens, you react to the kid. So with this system, we're being allowed to be able to intervene earlier, so it doesn't escalate to a full blown thing later. I finished up my 3rd year here. My 1st year here, I made 11 hospital referrals because of suicidal ideation. My 2nd year, I made 8, and then this year I made 4. So, the progress that number is always going down. And kids are telling us, teachers are catching it, kids are coming to find us, all of those things are happening.
Does anybody have any questions?
So how does that work with parental consent? If the kids come to you,
Mm-hmm.
you have to contact the parent. If you're not getting a response from the parent, you just can't do anything?
No, so Cody and I will partner then. So if we can't get a hold of the parent, or the parent says, I'm not taking them, we will have Cody, we'll call a ambulance, and they will take them. And then the parent will come get them from there.
So your hands aren't completely tied?
No.
You can't.
No, we are technically bound to say that you have to get support and get the services. So we'll do that first.
Yep, and Shannon mentioned that we finished up year 2 of a 3-year grant. The plan is that this program is going to be sustained even when the grant is no longer in place. We're working to get the processes finalized so that when UNI is no longer sitting at the table with us, this process still continues.
Yes, Nicole's been a great resource
Yep.
for us to have. She made me start taking over the meetings and stuff this year, which is fine, because she, developed a great system and it was easy to follow right along with it. So yeah, so this next year we'll really work on building that sustainability to continue even after she's gone.
So how long have they did this?
We've done it for 2 full
You
years.
got, but
She's been doing it for a couple, I think, at least.
In our AEA, she started with North Mahaska. And I think they did it for 1 year, and then she had the opportunity to bring on another district, which is when we joined.
Yeah.
Shannon, you wanna talk about how you and I provided some?
Oh, so we had, so part of our tier 3 services, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some UNI students who were going to school to be counselors, they did some telecounseling with some of our students. So we had some groups at both the elementary and at the secondary building where they got to kind of Zoom with counselors, because, these guys have their hands full with what we have in the building, so some of those kids were able to get services that way as well.
A lot of those are in addition to these guys continuing their services.
Right.
It's just another layer of support, so.
Yeah.
But it gives those that are learning good practice as well.
Coming more and more.
You guys are doing a great job in this, I see the other side of it, so everything's documented on our side, and I've seen far less from Wapello and Wapello School again.
Good.
So, great things.
I think this statistic right here speaks volumes, hospital referrals, that's. Pretty impressive. Good work.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So, consideration award bid for fire alarms.
All right, you have a couple different areas I'm gonna ask you to take action on. The first is for the actual fire alarm system itself, and then the second will be for the installation of the system. So the system itself is coming from Midwest Alarm Services. I was able to identify 3 vendors who my colleague said do this kind of work. I could only get 1 to even look at us. So Midwest Alarm was easy to work with. They were very thorough. You have 2 documents here. 1 is for the elementary, 1 is for the high school. As a reminder, this is all covered through the federal grant that we applied for and received. So there is no general fund effect.
Just the match.
Yeah, the match that we know about. Yeah. Which we've been working on as we've gone through this, the elementary project.
So we need to do.
Yes, sir, that's Midwest Alarm.
Right. So the first step would be to accept Midwest Alarm's bid for the actual system itself.
Make a motion to accept their bid for the high school and elementary.
Second.
Second all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, second, that needs to be.
All right, and then we contacted the 3 local electricians that we said we were going to contact for all of our projects. 2 of the 3 responded, And these are the bids that they've submitted. You have one from Odessa Mechanical. And all of the vendors received those specs from Midwest Alarm, so they had the same documents they were working with. Odessa Mechanical came in with a bid of $67,500 to install the system. Massner Electric came in with a bid of $69,404.
We didn't want to say when they're available.
The specs said that we wanted the system up and running before the beginning of the school year.
So, if that's the case, I don't see that we have anything in there. Should we have had maybe, or should we have something in there that specifies that, you said in the spec, is there any penalties if it is not?
We've talked in the past about having penalties, and we've always been advised not to do that, because that people end up.
That can get drug out for months and then
Motion for a date set on it and then move on to another one. If they don't get it done a certain date, then we take the second one. Something of that nature.
well, they'd have to get started on it to even have it done. You know what I'm saying? So if you waited and gave them till school's about to start, the other one's definitely not gonna get it done. They've already done it on. You know, I'm just afraid that we didn't push it ahead. If it's in there and it says it has to be ready, or we specify that, I guess that should be good enough. I mean, I just hate it. I mean, a lot of times on quotes and bids and stuff, I mean, you can be penalized for being late if you don't get done. Especially on something like this.
Assuming if it's not done, so fire marshal won't give a certificate.
Won't give a certificate,
Right.
yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
Cause that'll have to be inspected correct before.
I'm sure.
Well, Midwest would have to work with them, get things fired up.
Yeah.
Electrician's responsible for basically wiring and mounting hardware, it sounds like to me.
And all this is covered under the grant.
And I talked to Mike before the meeting, we're gonna have some excess funds, so I think we'll get a hold of the Department of Justice and see if there's any, if we could use those funds for,
We can do it.
you know, we put in a phone intercom system at the elementary, it'd be nice to have one that talks to the high school. Right now, it's hard for even one building to talk to the other, so we're gonna see if that's a possibility. If not, there may be some excess funds that we go back.
That's the possibility they've got detection software, they're on detectors too with this new state law. We have several, but need to add a few on hold.
So we'll contact you and see what flexibility we have.
But this will not take, I think I told Mike around 100,000 left in the grant, so.
Okay.
Can we, when is Midwest gonna have the equipment here? That's the other thing, I mean, they're gonna be beholden to them to an extent.
They're chomping at the bit. They've been calling me asking
So
what our
it'd be hard,
status
so
is.
can we set a start date? Like when the equipment shows up, within
Sure.
a week, when they need to be started on it, so we're not
Absolutely.
dragging their feet, and then there's no excuses of
I
getting
can
it
convey
done.
absolutely anything to them.
Push it quick.
What do you guys wanna take? They're pretty similar, and Dustin's very in-depth on the description of what they're gonna do.
I don't, either way, I know we've dealt with both, I think. Have most of the problems been taken care of at the elementary, as far as we know, we're still dealing with that. We have made note of, you know, things that aren't getting done or didn't get finished and not getting done in a timely manner, that's gonna sway my vote more than anything.
That was
Make
with
sure it gets
one-
done.
That was with one of these companies, one of the businesses, or?
Yeah. I just wanna make sure it gets done, we don't have any problem.
It's
If
very,
there's been a historical, if there's been an issue with one, then yeah.
it's very close on the bid, so choose.
So like I said, I don't wanna be, if we're satisfied over there, if things are done and we're not dealing with it, then I don't have a problem with it, but with the lower bid, if we're not done, and there are things that aren't finished that need to be done, I don't see why we would award more work to somebody that's not getting things done.
Agreed.
Right now, the things are working the way they.
As far as we know, everything's, right, that's all we can ask them, that's what we wanna make sure. Don't want things hanging over our head and we just
But I
get drug
do
out.
think that speaks volumes if there has been.
Right. As long as we're caught up, I don't have a problem with it. If it's money saved, is money saved. But I would like to say that we need to have them start as soon as we get notification or get the equipment from Midwest. You know, within a reasonable amount of time, a week's amount of time or something, I think that would be reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they really, neither one of them really put anything down about how long they thought this was gonna take. Could you give us an idea, could you ask them that too?
I sure can.
I mean, we're talking a month, 2 months, weeks, I'm not sure how to put it. Because that would give us an idea of when they need to be started. Yeah, we've only got a couple months' time.
We did the sheriff's office stuff. It really didn't take that long.
We have 2 buildings here.
A little complicated.
I make a motion that we go with Master Electric.
Second.
I'm not selling anything, but with if there was a historical issue that I think.
I was gonna say the same thing, so I second it.
Consideration for AEA resolution.
All right, I've mentioned this AEA resolution. All districts who pass this resolution, which basically says all of the AEA money that used to flow through, that we now have control over. If we pass this resolution committing to still let those monies flow through to the AEA, we will be given credit, for lack of a better word, for services that equal 110% of those funds. So in essence, say we pass along $10,000, we would be able to purchase $11,000 worth of services for the AEA. We need to know, obviously, for their planning purposes at the start of the next fiscal year. So if we want to pass this resolution, this is the month when we would need to do that.
So if we were to do that and we can purchase more, what would be more that we would purchase?
Well, basically everything that we use the AEA for, with the exception of special ed, which is still fully taken care of.
Correct.
Everything will now come with a fee. Every time we have.
Right, I understand that, but like when they're gonna give us more credit so we can purchase more things.
Right, we
Like,
can
what would
purchase
be-
more people's time to
Gotcha.
come in, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't.
No, that's fine.
Same page.
No brainer if we're gonna stick to that, right?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the AEA resolution.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Okay, consideration for pay increase in employee not covered under the master contract.
All right, last month we approved the negotiated agreement with the teaching staff, so now you take care of everybody who is not covered under the master contract. Eric has provided some options for you. The first one gives you what the current pay rates are for our different employee classifications. Then you have one, and Eric, if I'm wrong, you're gonna step in and correct me. One with a 2.28% increase, which reflects the amount of money that we added to the salary schedule, not counting the TSS money we received for the teacher minimums. That's a separate pot of money from the state. Past practice has been to apply that same percentage. So past practice would be to apply the 2.28. However, Eric and I were talking, and given the fact that we did have this large influx of TSS money, we wanted to give you the option of to look at what it would be if we did a 3% increase for non-certified staff. Again, reflecting the fact that many of our certified staff got quite a significant bump. Do you want to do something additional for your non-certified staff? So that's why you have those two different options in front of you.
And we think the 3% could be sustained. Like even if next year, like with the TSS money, because I know there's concerns with the TSS money and how that's going to be sustained for the increases after this year and stuff. Like, it's not going to, we're not gonna have to go back and like
We would not go back and take a look.
My opinion would be if we can afford the 3, then we do the 3. Especially for, I mean, these, our paras, I'm always for paying paras. Everyone on this list. I make a motion to.
Sound like.
I'm just saying, there is no other discussion. I make a motion to go with the 3%.
A second.
Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Consideration to declare FCS equipment as surplus.
All right, Karen Merritt has some equipment that she no longer needs. She has 6 KitchenAid mixers and 4 little tabletop grills. She'd like to get rid of them, so if you declare them surplus, we'll figure out how to get rid of them and get them out of her hair.
Make a motion to declare that FCS equipment as
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consideration for elementary handbook.
You're up, Brett.
Alright. In my notes, I have some highlights of the handbook changes. I'm just gonna go through them. The staff handbook, and a lot of these are just date changes, staff names, getting up to date with the new school year. A couple of things that are new, added language about the instructional day for staff, just reminding them that we promptly begin at 8:15. Also added language about staff meal accounts. Amanda and I and Mike has been in this conversation as well. Just making sure that if staff are negative balance, they can't continue to go negative. We don't do that to students, but staff, we need to make sure they're paying their bill. Otherwise, school picture dates, and the only other big change was removing some of the non-certified work hours to reflect the new salary versus hourly positions. So just making sure things are matching up that way, and remove language about paid holidays for non-certified staff. In the parent-student handbook, same thing, date changes, new staff and emails, outgoing staff, incoming staff. Updated the calendar updates, and updated language on the changes to open enrollment guidelines from what they previously were to the new changes effective July 1. Meal prices are subject to change, so as those are approved right now, that if Amanda's still here, she's not recommending changes yet, but they
Let's
make
change
that
that.
change.
Tammy is listed as a paraprofessional still,
I
so
can fix that
Yeah,
right now. before
easily
we-
fixed.
I can fix that tonight before we go, so.
there you go.
And then our PBIS team members are updated. The preschool handbook, this is something that was new last year. It's part of our statewide voluntary preschool program. This just is specifically to preschool. It's through a template through the state. It's just with our information. One thing that they recommended through the audit process was reminding parents that school supplies are not required by, for parents to provide. That parents can provide them, but if parents cannot provide them or can't afford them, whatever it is, don't have them, the school will provide them. And the same with the language about their daily snack. They do a snack bucket and take turns with that, but they don't have to do that. The school will provide all those things, and those are both voluntary. So those are the two only changes in preschool.
If you're gonna do an update for that thing for Tammy, Brett, would you change the address on the staff list for Wapello K-12.IA.US to Wapello CSD.org?
Yep. Take care of that. That was in the parent. and the staff.
Yeah, that's the parent one, I don't think.
So that's all the changes that I have now. Since you approved the salaries for the non-contract people, I'll take that amount, and that would go in it before Eric publishes it. Right now it has the current 23, 24 stuff. So that'll be updated as well.
We'll get you those rates, probably as early as tomorrow, so you can put those in.
We'll double check all this stuff before we publish, but then they'll be ready to go.
I make a motion to approve the elementary handbook.
Okay.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Discussion of air conditioning options.
Alright, Sarah, you requested that we have this on?
Yeah, so I reached out to Tucker and Trevor Massner just to see, because I knew they had talked to Rob prior to, like earlier this spring about the needed things for air conditioning, so I just wanted to get more information. Trevor tried to call me, I didn't pick up, but I think talked to Dave, so I don't know if you could.
Mike,
I was like, what the heck?
You're calling yourself?
That's odd.
Okay, I don't know what they said to you about.
He was just asking me, I told him at this point in time, I said, I don't think I told him not to get too, in depth on it yet, because we really don't have any grounds to go on money-wise.
Yeah.
We have to do an electrical upgrade that has to be done first before we even discuss worrying about trying to put air conditioners anywhere. So I kind of told him that's where we stand. I said, if they want to just do some type of a ballpark on the electrical upgrade, like we kind of have some general ideas, but I think that's what he was more talking about, as far as that, knowing, if we were going to go forward with that right now. And I told him I didn't think we were at this time because we're still searching for funds. So
Yeah, I know a few months back, we talked about kind of trying to break this down into a 3-year process.
Right.
For completion, so maybe.
I just wanted to make sure that we could
And he knew,
talk
I
about
told
it
him,
and
I didn't want him to do a whole bunch of work other than what he's already done.
Yeah.
I said, we need to make a decision on if we need to move forward and how we're going to move forward with doing the upgrade as far as electrical first. Without the service, we can't have anything. So I think we need to address that first at this point and make sure we have enough power for everything and for the future. Without it, it's a moot point. Try to put air conditioning.
Eric, what's our status with Apple and SAG funds that are available for this?
Pebble is not an option because it's committed the rest of the
Correct.
Expansion through, I think it's next 7 years. So there is no money in Pebble. Save, I think it's probably got about $500,000 in it currently. My suggestion would be is if this is the route we want to go, you're gonna have to get an engineer on board anyway, start doing their preliminary work. It's gonna be, I think we need to wait at least 2 years to get the gym paid off, and then you could take another group of projects like we did when we built that gym and bond for that again. But I just don't, if it's gonna be a $2 or $3 million project, we just don't have the funding to do that at this time. So, and you could bite it off in 2 or 3 years and try and break it up, but if something else major happens, you lose a boiler, you lose a bus.
Rough issue.
Yeah, there's not a lot to fall back on that. So my suggestion would be wait till that gym is paid for, but you can maybe start doing some of the preliminary work, the studies on whatever they need to do. And
do the engineering work.
Yeah, but you're probably still a little bit early on that, and you can talk to some engineering firms and see how long that kind of work takes, but we're still good. I think bonds are paid off in 27, so we're going into fiscal 25, so another couple of years yet to pay on those bonds.
But we could see just how long firms think it would take to get specs designed.
Hurt to find out, I think those guys are looking for more information too, from an engineer or something on what really needs done, like at the elementary and the upgrade. It's not just simply as having them come in there and just wire a bunch of stuff. I mean, I think it's going to be upgrade the service from the utility company to the building. Do we want that on the outside of the building? Do we need to get it in the boiler room? All those boxes in there are old and outdated. How do we upgrade all that? I mean, there's getting pretty involved. If we just only look at an AC load and we just do the bare minimum, it doesn't leave us any room for more electrical service in the classrooms and outlets that are needed, I think, pretty bad. And just future, things get more and more powered as we go. So I hate to piecemeal it and then find out we didn't do it right in the first place.
Yeah, I think when it needs done, right?
Try to figure out what we need and what it's gonna take to do properly.
Okay.
If you want to start down that road with an engineer, Mike, I think we can pay for those services, as we go.
Right.
Get ready for when you are ready in 26 or 27. Right. Before we have all that preliminary work done.
Right. So we need to keep that in mind and find out how long something like that would take if we want to get them started, so we're kind of prepared for that.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Items for next board meeting.
All right, this is a new item that I'd like to include on the agendas. Is to get some input from the board on things you want to make sure are included on next month's agendas, largely so that if Eric and I need to do some information gathering, we've got adequate time to get you all of the information that you want. Now, Brandon, you had mentioned that you wanted to have, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What do you want to think about that?
We've had a lot of problems with phones. And there's a lot of mental health issues with addiction to phones. We've got to set, I think, a zero tolerance phone policy for our classrooms. I think it's time.
I agree.
It's causing so many problems. Not just our school. So maybe getting some examples from different schools and some options for us.
And then Sarah, you had something you
Yeah,
wanted to talk about.
I would like to see something about increasing our substitute pay to make it more competitive or to draw more people in. I don't know all the local schools. I know Winfield increased theirs from 140 to 152, and ours right now is 135. So we need subs. We're gonna rely a lot on Jess this year, and she's great, but she's one person, so just let's
And
look
that'll
at
give
what we
us
can
time
do.
to gather information from each
Let's
other.
look at what we can do.
All right, are there other items that you want to make sure that we talk about next month?
I would like to revisit the at-risk and see if we can put our heads together back at that. It's been a topic of conversation.
That wins.
Okay.
I'm not saying that there's funds to do, but we probably need to put our heads to the grind and.
Did the meetings take place last week to talk about the two options we were looking at?
We've had so many options that we've been taking a look at. That one has not happened yet. We had an option we were exploring with the attorney. Eric and I thought we stumbled across something, and the attorney put the kibosh on that one. So
Switch attorneys.
I'll see what I can do.
That will work out really well for all of us.
Well, we have two attorneys.
I was really hoping, but yeah, it just didn't. So, but no, we're gonna keep working on trying to find money.
I think with
And trying to find sustainable, not one-time money, because we don't want to be doing this again next year. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I would like to also put down that we, with our lack of a maintenance supervisor or director, I think we need to, I want to make sure we keep our buildings and grounds meetings current and talk to who we need to talk to, whether it be Cody or Mark or whatever, get them involved. And
absolutely.
And for the time being anyway, it looks like that's the route we're going. So,
okay.
I mean, there's going to be needs that need to be addressed.
They're going to be more important.
Yeah.
I think over communication is probably better than under communication when it comes to, especially that, any department, but that department is.
And of course, discussion on the maintenance contract. Now, can we do that in buildings and grounds meeting? We don't need full board approval for that full contract, do we?
Actually, all right, you talking about Cody's?
Right.
Yeah, I met with Cody and he and I talked about what he thought was fair and what we thought was viable.
Right.
And what he and I came to an agreement was we would put him and Mark at the same level, largely to honor Mark's years of experiences. And also Cody felt that he and Mark were gonna be working together on a lot of this stuff. So the plan is to take Cody and bring him up to Mark's level. It's not a huge increase, but he was happy with that.
But I was also talking about with, the maintenance.
Oh,
the
with
actual
that.
maintenance
I'm
thing. So
sorry.
I wanna also make sure we, let them know, do we need a full board approval on that, or can we do that in the buildings and grounds, can't we?
We should,
Money?
we should be
Gotta
just
do
fine.
that. Get him on board and get that stuff done.
Yep.
Time to wait.
Yep, and I've asked Cody to get in contact with Minnesota.
Yeah, he did, I know he's talking.
I know there were some surveys sent out about open enrollment. I don't know when we went. Is there something we can discuss on those? Maybe at the next meeting?
Yeah, I can give you what I've got.
I just think it would be interesting to,
My plan is,
I'm just a tad concerned about open enrollment.
send the first wave and have a couple responses out of the 7 I sent. We'll follow up the second, third round about a week apart, and then I will try and make one phone call. But after that, I'm not gonna bug.
Yeah, don't chase. I mean, it's,
We'll try 3 times by email,
Yeah.
one phone call.
and you're gonna have people that don't fill them out. I
Absolutely.
totally get it.
Absolutely, but any data we can get is gonna
Yeah.
help.
Otherwise, we'll
understand
be right back in the same situation we were this year.
I've got something I can throw out. I heard on the grapevine that, well, a year or two ago, we raised our bus driver pay to $90 a day to try and stay competitive with other districts. And I heard a week ago or something that L&M was gonna pay $125.
They are. It actually was advertised
They
today.
just built a brand new bus barn too, didn't
Okay. So we should probably look at area bus driver pay as well.
You know, it's probably gonna come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking for stuff to do, Steve.
Wait, I already got Steve hooked up.
$90 a day.
Have you roped him in?
95.
I'm working on something,
Okay.
so.
You've got plans for him.
Yeah, I got plans for Steve.
He's gonna be on a hiatus.
There you go.
Nobody's gonna be able to find him.
Well, I think this helps because now
Yeah,
Eric and I
that's
can gather the information that we need and we're not gonna have to scramble to get this stuff.
Just with this, everybody there just got something they can throw on every time.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
We need to just info and have that,
Yeah.
there's no action.
Yeah, nobody has any objections to anything that's on the list, so we're.
Alright, considerations, set date, time.
All right, the next regular meeting would be on July 10th. There are high school softball regionals. This is the only thing I see.
They start Monday.
Okay.
If they win, they would play Wednesday. Or if they get a bye Monday, they would play Wednesday. I can't tell you if they will or not.
I hope they win and we have to reschedule.
Correct.
That's what we,
Yeah.
yeah.
6 o'clock work,
Yeah.
unless you like this 7:30 stuff.
No.
Not, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Had to throw
a couple people started in this room. Three of us.
Yeah, July 10th, 6 o'clock.
It's the people with the young kids.
Yeah.
Make a motion to set the next.
I didn't schedule
Second.
it next week.
Motion and second on favor.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
Second.
Motion second on favor.
Aye.
Opposed?